Dave Ramsey versus the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Who should you follow? Who's giving the best financial advice for you? So the first book I ever read was The Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And what I basically walked away from it is a good story and what liabilities were and what assets were. That was it. I didn't really know anything else. I didn't learn anything else from that book. And the reason why is because it's not really geared towards people with no money, people living paycheck to paycheck, that kind of thing, which I was doing. And it's also not, I personally don't feel like it was black and white advice, like do this, do this, do this, do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and here's why. No, it wasn't like that. It was more vague. It was very vague. It was, get other people's money. Work when you have a job. Make sure you're learning something towards either you're making money. It's an asset. And you're making money with it, or you're learning. Like, it's good advice like that. But I was still living paycheck to paycheck for a good many of years after I read that book. I even got a couple more of his books because I thought maybe, okay, Rich Dad Poor Dad was just kind of the beginning of it, but I'll finally get the information once I read his other books, and it never happened. And he has a board game, and that was really confusing for me, and I just didn't get it. I couldn't play it. It was boring. If it's boring, it's probably not good. That's a good key of life. After a few years, I started to hear Dave Ramsey's name. I'd hear him on the radio. He has a pretty interesting personality, so he's interesting to listen to. And I never really knew what he talked about, but he would say stuff on the radio, and people would call into his radio show. He has a radio show every day, I think it's every day. And they'll say, what do I do? I have this financial problem, this. And his advice was like, wow, that was pretty simple. And he explained why. And I can't believe I didn't think about it. That's how good it was. So one day I was looking on Craigslist, and I was living paycheck to paycheck. And I just got in a relationship with my baby's mother, Christine, and she's really good with money. And so we kind of had that conflict. I was paycheck to paycheck. She's very good with money. And what happened was I went on Craigslist on the free section because I like to get free stuff. And I saw that this Dave Ramsey course was going to be taught for free for 10 weeks long. 1 day a week, 10 weeks long, 3 hours. And I jumped at it, and it was just a very good, a good Samaritan. He had a bunch of extra booklets, packages that, he didn't know what to do with it. He tried to have a course where people would pay the $100, which is nothing, so just do it. Pay the $100, you'll get it back tenfold. But he had him, he was giving him free, and he's going to just do the course for free. It really helped his life. He wanted to help other people. So Christine, I told her, since we're together in this relationship, we need to be like this money-wise, so why don't you come with me? And she resisted, and she said, I don't think it's going to be good. It's probably a pyramid scheme, so forth. But we made a bet. We made a $1 bet for $1. And after the first day, she told me, this is good advice. We're going to keep going, and here's your $1. And the Dave Ramsey course, not just his book, but the actual course is what I took first. It's very black and white advice. It's just do this, don't do this. This is why you don't do this. This is why you do this. And it makes sense, and it's great advice. And it's coming, and it's for the person that's living paycheck to paycheck. It's not the Rich Dad Poor Dad book where that's for the entrepreneur that wants to be a millionaire. You can't do that if you don't have regular sound financial advice first. So you got to start with the very basics. Have $1,000 saved up for emergencies, because emergencies happen. That's the first thing. Pay off all your debt. It just goes down and down the line. It's very, very good. You don't want to have any debt. You're basically a slave if you have debt. It's just like, wow, this is really deep stuff, and you can't really get ahead in life if you have debt. And it's true, And he goes on and talks about IRA Roths, the stock market, which he doesn't believe in, real estate, insurance policies. It's everything you need to know financially. It was really great, and it was life-changing. I would say Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Dave Ramsey.
Subscribe now to Gershomology.